everybody. This is Linda Binns. I'm here with Connie Graff. We are doing weekly Facebook Lives for the purpose of, well, we just enjoy chatting with each other, and we love to talk about energy and how we can improve our energy and just help ourselves be more peaceful and in control and feel calmer by applying certain strategies and techniques. So here we are, and we're going to be talking today about motivation, which is an interesting. We have an interesting take on motivation. It's not what most people usually think of when they talk about motivation. So, Connie, welcome. Hi, motivation. Tell us about motivation.
You're both motivated.
We are. Yes, we are. Yeah.
Yeah, so now my take on motivation, like you kind of mentioned already a little bit, is a little bit provocative, because I always say, like, you can't just wait for motivation. It's not going to happen. Right. To me, motivation comes when we have a clarity, like, and you and I, we talk a lot about clarity and control, and I feel like motivation comes when we have clarity, when we know our vision, when we know where we want to go. The motivation is here, or it's coming, and if it's not, then we at least know what to do and we start doing it, and then for sure the motivation comes. So that's kind of my take on it, because we can't just sit on the sofa eating chips, watching Netflix, and thinking motivation will show up. No.
Yeah. When am I going to get the motivation to exercise? Oh, well, I'm watching this TV program now.
No, it's not working that way. So I don't feel like motivation is first and action is second. I truly believe you take action first, and then motivation comes, and then the motivation will help you keep taking actions and making progress towards where you want to go.
Right. And I always think of it in terms of the energy behind what you're doing. And when you understand that, because there are things that people say, well, I really, really, really want to do this, exercise or lose weight or, do a certain thing. And I really, really want to do it, but you're not doing it. And people think, that is, well, I've just got to push myself. I've got to find a way to motivate myself. When really what I think it is that it's, if you want to do something and you're not doing it, how much of a priority is it for you? And there's no wrong answer here, and there's no judgment or criticism here, but it's just for you to know, if I say this is the most important thing, and yet I'm putting my energy into other things, then really and truthfully, that's not as important to you right now as you think it is, or as you want it to be. And again, that's not wrong, it's just what it is. But if you know that, that can really help you, because then you can say, okay, well, this other thing that I'm doing, instead of doing what I say I want to do, how important is that to me? And because I'm making it more of a priority than I am the thing that I say I want to do. And just having that awareness maybe will help you say, well, I'm putting my energy into this thing and it's not as important to me, so I'm going to put more energy over here. Or you might say, well, I'm doing this for other people. That's the energy I'm putting into it because I'm doing it for other people. I'm not doing it for myself. So it's just having that understanding, I think, is the most important thing when it comes to motivation, because it helps you understand your motivations and why you're doing what you're doing or not doing what you say you want to do, right?
Yeah, that's where the clarity comes in, I feel.
Yeah.
And also, like when we were saying we're talking about motivation, I have a podcast and I had a guest on when we were talking about perfectionism, and it was Dr. Camilla, and she's actually an expert on perfectionism and anxiety and on all the not so pleasant side effects of perfectionism. And she introduced me to an interesting concept that I really love, which works well here too. And that's the concept of the push versus pull. And I feel like when we wait for motivation, or when we say we want to do something and find ourselves not doing it, it's a good way to check in, like you just said, and figuring out, are we pushed by something? Are we pushed by some idea that we should do something, or that some outside voice that is not really what we want to do, but it is maybe something that society, or you think society wants you to do, or you think your mother wants you to do, or your husband, or whoever else, but it's not you, versus the pull where you want to do something, you have a vision and a goal, and then you have that inner pull that you actually want to go there, and then you don't wait for motivation either, because the motivation in that case could be just here by pulling you towards it. So it's again this clarity and this checking in. If you like, we always say too, like in Switzerland we say it, and I think here in North America you say too, actions speak louder than words. So you can talk all day long about how you want to do something, I want to do something, I want to do something. If you're not doing it, there is a reason.
Right.
And it could easily be that the reason is that whatever you're attempting to do is not really what you are aligned to or what you want to do. Right. And that's when you come up with the excuse, oh, I'm not motivated, or oh, I have no time, or everything else takes priority. Like we talked about priority last week, where it's also like you are in control what has priority. You are in control how you use your time, at least to a big part, like not always 100%, but a big part of it, so that the excuse is actually not really valid.
No, it isn't. And we all do it. You know, we've all done it and we all use it. But the truth is, you know, if an emergency happened, because you can be saying, well, I'm so busy, I haven't got time for anything. But then let's say an emergency happened and somebody really needed, your close family member really needed you, or you hurt yourself and you needed to get to the hospital. You would make time for that, right? You wouldn't say, oh, I'm so busy, I haven't got time to do that. You would drop everything because now that is your new priority, right? So if you're not doing something that you want to do, it's because it's not yet a priority for you, or you think it is, but you're not making it a priority. And there can be many reasons for that. It may be because you're avoiding it, because it's slightly uncomfortable to do or to think about, or it may be because it's something you really don't want to be doing anyway. Tony Robbins always says, you know, it's when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. That's when, I guess that's motivation, right? That's when you'll do something. But I think it's just really important to be very honest with yourself, and that requires self-inquiry, you know. So, and it means just being honest with yourself. I'm saying I want to do this, but I'm actually being so busy doing all these other things that I don't have time to do this. Why is that? Is it because this isn't a high enough priority? What am I putting my energy into? And why am I making that a higher priority? And like I said, there's no wrong answer. It's just for you to be aware, so that you don't beat yourself up saying, well, I'm just not motivated and I need to get motivation, and what's wrong with me and why can't I do this? You know, and that's what we tend to do. Yeah,
and beating ourselves up never helps. And here I was master beating myself up, and also master trying to be perfect, and I think that's the way out of it. And also taking responsibility is like being honest with yourself is almost the same like being taking responsibility. And taking responsibility means we're not saying I should and I should do it and I should do it. It doesn't help. And we can say, I choose to do it or I choose not to do it. And that's taking responsibility. And that's actually like, if we're having a priority and then we're noticing that we're helping somebody else or we're doing everything else than what we said we wanted to do, instead of saying, oh, I just didn't have time or I'm so busy or whatever, we can actually take control back to us and say, oh, sorry. Can say, no.
He wants wants to join in.
He wants to join in. He wants to say yes. So instead of saying, oh, I had no time, I could say, I chose not to do it. I chose to do something else. We take responsibility and say, I chose to help somebody else. And sometimes it's about, like you mentioned already, avoidance. Whatever we wanted to do maybe became a little bit uncomfortable, or maybe a little bit scary. Maybe we have a goal that is a little scary and would take us out of our comfort zone. So instead of saying, oh, I couldn't do it, everything else was taking priority, we can say, I chose not to do it because it is scary.
Yeah.
And then if we're then honest with ourselves, at least we're not lying to ourselves.
Well, it's true. It is that. And getting clear about why you're doing something and why you're not doing something, and why something is important to you and something else isn't important to you. And knowing how and why you avoid certain things, so let's say you had to call customer service for something or other. We all know what that's going to be like, right? We anticipate from past experiences that we're going to be on the phone for ages, and it's going to be, it's just going to be awful. And then we might get someone who's not helpful. Well, so we might want to avoid it, even though that it's something that we know we want to do, say need to do, but want to do, because it's going to help us fix something or resolve something. I do this all the time. I'll do anything rather than that. But what I've learned to do now is say, okay, I've been avoiding this. I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. But what I do is to help myself feel better about it is I will set an intention beforehand that this is going to be easy. I'm going to find someone who's really helpful, and it's going to go smoothly, and it's going to be resolved easily. When I remember to do that, then it's so much easier, and it usually does go smoothly. But first of all, what I have to do is get myself motivated to do it by recognizing that this is something that I want to do, not that I have to do, so that I go into avoidance and not wanting to do it. And it's really the same with anything.
Yeah, that's totally the mindset is everything. And I think you can even say I need to do it, because certain things we don't want to do, but we know we need to do them. So I feel like we can even, instead of saying I should, because words are very powerful, instead of saying I should, we can sometimes, it's not I want to or I choose to, but it is at least I need to. And then we have to be our own parent and say, okay, this is just something that I really need to do, and I have to get through it. And the longer I procrastinate, the worse the whole thing gets. So I just get myself to do it, and I don't have to like it. So my mentor always says too, is like, just because you have to do something, or you want to do something, even like if you really want to do something, it doesn't mean it has to be pleasurable or it has to be nice. Sometimes we have to and want to and need to things that are not fun, that are not nice, but we know we need to do them. And mindset can help you a lot by, I still don't think you get motivated, but you can kind of like, can see that the long-term benefit is better than not doing it. And we as humans, we're so conditioned for short-term benefit and short-term pleasure, because that's why, because if not, we would not eat chocolate and chips on the sofa, but we would actually go to yoga or go to jogging or whatever. But because at the moment, this sounds so much more enjoyable, even though later we don't feel good because we again haven't done it, no? And again have gained weight instead of lost weight if the goal is losing weight, or if the goal is going and exercising. We haven't exercised even though the goal is exercising. So later we feel bad, but in the moment, we're so focused on our short-term pleasure that we're actually not caring that long-term, or later on, we're feeling bad about it. So that's how I feel like the mindset can help and motivate you in a way to do it, because you feel so much better afterwards.
Right. And there's also another mindset shift that you can have. And we talked about this before, and I think this is really helpful, is because, okay, if we take exercise, let's take yoga, because this is something I have had challenges with, I will say, because I have wanted to do yoga every day, or I wanted to do yoga more frequently than I do. And so why don't I do it? Well, I don't know. It's because I'm making everything else a priority over that, right? Even though it's something I really want to do, I'm making everything else a priority. But what we had talked about was that the expectation we have of what that's supposed to look like. And, you know, the thought is that that's supposed to look like I go and spend 30 minutes, you know, with my yoga mat and doing my yoga stuff. Whereas what it could look like is, you know, I take a break after an hour of working, and then I do a yoga exercise or two, and then I go back to working. So I can take several 5-minute breaks to do a couple of yoga exercises. And then I've got my yoga in for the day, rather than, oh my gosh, I've got to find 30 minutes where I go and do it. You see, I mean, that's a mindset shift where we're avoiding something, perhaps because we think we don't have time, or we're not giving ourselves, making it the priority, giving ourselves the time. But you could do it in a different way and still accomplish the same thing. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing, or one way versus another.
Yeah, that's kind of like the perfectionist tendencies again, where we think like if we can't do it perfect, whatever perfect means, it's then our rules, basically what perfect means. And perfect could mean, oh, I have to be for half an hour on my yoga mat, when you could go with other options. I actually used to have a book, and I don't think I still have it, that was called teacup yoga or tea yoga or something like that, where she was saying, like, while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or while you're waiting for your tea to be ready, you could do some yoga exercises in your kitchen, for example, with the countertop as help, so that you can, or just stretching. If you're not into yoga, you do stretching or whatever. And this is the same concept that I always say, like, when people try to declutter and get organized, I always say, like, everybody thinks they have to wait until they have a whole weekend or a whole day or a whole week. And we're not going to do that. Who would want to declutter a whole day or a whole weekend? Not even me, you know. And I know the benefit of decluttering, but I mean, who would want that? And that's why I always say, like, a few minutes a day keeps the chaos away. It's the same with exercise, a few minutes a day. And if you can't make time, if you really feel like you can't make time for half an hour on the yoga mat, well, you should probably journal about that and figure out why. But I mean, there is times when we're really busy, when something else takes precedence, but that still means we have 5 minutes. I always say, like, everybody has 5 minutes, even more than one time, 5 minutes in a day. We can, when we wait for the kettle, we can do yoga or stretching. When we do, I heard even somebody, when they're brushing their teeth, they're doing some exercises. You can easily, for example, stand on just one leg and train your equilibrium and stuff like that. So there is ways and places where you can add in some, if we're talking about exercise, where you can add in some stuff that helps your body, you know, and it doesn't have to be a full half an hour on your yoga mat being perfect, you know.
Well, and it all comes down to, I think, you know, is it important enough to you? Because if you're not doing it, and this applies to me as well, you know, if I'm not doing it, it's because I'm not making it, it's not important enough to me. Even though I might think it is, I'm making something else more important. Yeah. And again, that's not wrong. It's just what it is. And so we have to be honest with ourselves about that. Yeah. And if you want to make it more important, well, then how can you do that? And maybe one of the ways you can do that is just doing what we just talked about, allowing just a few minutes, you know, every now and then to do something, to put some energy and attention towards it, because you might have all these other things that really are very important. And it's the same, you know, at work. And we talked about this last week because we were talking about priorities. You know, when you have a whole bunch of things that you have to get done, well, they can't all be of equal priority, right? And something has to give. You have to choose one that I'm going to work on right now. And it can be very easy to lose motivation when you feel that you're completely overwhelmed. But like you said in the beginning, we have more control than we think we have. And it's what we're choosing to put our time, energy, and attention into. And we can make a different choice. And we can also make a choice to, even though I'm doing all these things and I think I don't have time, I can allocate like 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, to do some of these other things that I want to do as well. It's not about...
My experience with myself and also with my clients is that people who say they have no time, when we're actually really looking at it, we find lots of wasted time, like lots of time where there is really nothing happening. And I noticed that many years ago already too, is like if you, and I think there's even a saying, something along, if you want something to get done, give it to a busy
person. Yeah.
Because that's exactly it. Oftentimes the people who say they have no time, they're actually not the ones that get things done. Those are the ones who procrastinate, who are suffering from perfectionism, who overthink everything and are not taking action. That's are usually the people who say they have no time or get easily pulled away from whatever they're doing by everything and anything else. And so again, back to what I said at the beginning, if we're really clear where we want to go, we have the motivation to do it and we're actually doing it. And even if it's just a short period of time per day, if you have a goal and every day you work towards it, let's say 15 minutes, whatever time frame you want to take, 3 months from now, you start calculating how many hours you spend actually on this thing, compared to sitting here complaining that you have no time, not doing anything. Where are you in 3 months? Nowhere. But if you do every day 15 minutes, it might not be ideal. It might not be perfect, but you're still way ahead in 3 months. So yeah, exactly.
And so I hope you can see that it's really not about motivation and how you need to get more motivation. It's really about self-awareness, being honest with yourself, asking yourself these questions, you know, what am I putting my energy, my attention into? What am I making a priority? And is it what I want to be putting my energy into? And if I say that this is a priority and I'm not making it a priority, why is that? Again, but do it without beating yourself up, not judging or criticizing yourself. It's just to know, oh, okay, well, that's not really the highest priority that I have right now. This other thing or these other things are more important to me. Well, that's okay. So now I don't have to beat myself up because I'm not doing this, because now I know that I am choosing these other things because they're a higher priority. So it's all comes down to awareness, I think.
And the awareness, whose goal is it? If it's really your goal,
right,
you are pulled towards it. Like Dr. Camilla said on my podcast, you are pulled towards it. If you feel pushed towards something, I really think journaling, becoming mindful, becoming aware, whose goal is it really? Is it really my goal or not? You know, so that's...
Well, it could be somebody else pulling you towards it. Or pushing you towards it.
Pushing more likely, no?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because I had to think about it too. It's like this pull and push, but it's really true. It's like, yes, kind of, somebody could maybe pull you towards something, but if you think about it, it's more likely that they push you to do something rather than pull you. And you feel that pull on the inside when you want to do something. Yeah. It's just something to become aware of and become honest about it, and then take responsibility and actually change your actions accordingly.
Right. And if you're avoiding something, then just ask yourself why you're avoiding it. You know, why is it uncomfortable? And what would it take to make it easier? And what would it take to make it more comfortable? This is why we say that you have a lot more control than you think you have. We think we're controlled by outside circumstances, and really, sometimes yes, but mostly no. It's your energy, it's your time. You choose where you want to put it, and if you're choosing to put it over there because somebody's making demands on you, and you're making somebody else more of a priority than you, just be honest about it. You just know that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's hard, because if the minute you have to take responsibility, then you can't be you can't blame it on something else. You can't blame it on I have no time, or you can't blame it on, oh, I'm too busy or whatever. You have to actually take responsibility. Yeah.
Right. Yes, you do. Yeah.
But that's how we move forward. Also by learning not beating ourselves up, especially for highly sensitive people and people with perfectionist tendencies. Very important to not beat ourselves up. Just be curious and then become aware, and then start making tweaks.
Yeah.
And changing.
Yeah, just be honest with yourself and without judgment. So yeah, I mean, it's like you said in the beginning, this is not a typical take on motivation. And if you have any comments or questions on it, we'd love to hear from you. I can't actually see the Facebook live at the moment, so if there are any comments, I can't see them. But if there are any, then I will respond to them, or we will respond to them afterwards. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you have something to say about motivation. And again, this is not something that, if it's a challenge for you, it's not something you will change overnight, but it's really something to be aware of, and to know that it is possible for you to change it, and just do a little bit at a time.
Yeah, totally. So right now, I don't see any comments, but if somebody wants to leave a comment, or if somebody wants to suggest a topic that they want us to talk about, that would be awesome. I don't think we run out of topics anytime soon. But
no, I don't think we will. We've always got stuff to say.
We will pull topics that are mentioned in the comments. We will pull them to the front, and we will start talking about it on our Friday talks.
Yes. Well, this has been a lovely conversation with you, Connie, on a Friday afternoon. So
I apologize for the parking.
That's okay. That's okay. Has something to say as well. So I will see you next Friday right here. And yeah, I'm glad we're getting to grips with the technology. It's
we will
figuring it out.
We stay motivated.
Yes, very motivated. All right. Well, take care, and we'll talk to you next week. See you all next week, everyone. Okay.
See you all next week. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.